Well, we're here on Sounding Out with Chris Lovejoy, and we're having a lovely time. Talking.
Lovely, joyful time.
I'm having a
Yes.
great time, boys. Thanks for the little name pun. Appreciate it.
Brought a little bit of heaven home the other day. Such a pretty little angel who lost her way. And I got half a mind to find the folks that left you looking this way. And if I found them, this is what I'd say. We go on merrily.
Does it get old? Do people do it all the time?
It doesn't get old. It gets a little old, but like when I start thinking that it gets old, I'm like, this is just your first time doing this, so I'm happy for you. You know?
It could be the opposite. You could have like like one of those last names, but you
Yeah.
have that on such
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah.
side of the spectrum. Like you have
Yeah.
like such a fun,
Or like when
like
people,
punny name, you know?
when people are like, when they try to change it and they're like, hey, hate's that, and I'm like, dude. And I'm really lucky, I feel like, because just talking about my name, you know? And like when I work in the restaurant, I'll get people, when I start talking to them about, you know, what I do, if they open up that much. Because sometimes
Yeah.
people are like, you know, don't. But if I, you know, break through that wall with a smile or maybe a joke, or like I'll have like an AC/DC lapel pin when I have a suit on at work sometimes, because sometimes I have to have a suit on at work. And so when they see that, I'm like, you know, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Every single time I say that to them. Every time, if you've seen me, I've said that to you. So every person, you're not special, but you are. And they'll say, and like we'll get to talking about music, and then I'll tell them, you know, what I do and my name and stuff. And they'll be like, oh, that's a great name. Like, and I'm like, thanks. And they're like, what's your real name? And I'm like, you're looking at it, pal. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's not a stage name. And they're like, that's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. So when I get that a lot, it's just like, yeah, I'm really lucky to have a cool name without having to like, I could change it, and I could have changed it to Lovejoy, but I didn't. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So, yeah, that's my name, man.
I guess like taking that as a songwriter, do you kind of feel comfortable kind of branching out?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like you have to, too.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy. We're going to talk about Machine Gun Kelly right now. Hope you guys are ready. So he started, I was introduced to him in 2019 with rap. And like, I really liked some of the stuff that I heard. And I was like, you know what? This is fun. I like this. This is cool. I was on tour with Planet Mercury for the first time. Our bass player, Pat, was showing me some of this stuff. And I was like, cool, great. Like, I can vibe with this. So then I kind of hopped on the MGK train, as it were, sort of. And then he started to do his pop punk stuff. His first record came out, which I think was Tickets to My Downfall. And I listened to that, and I went in. It was like, oh, I was excited because it's like a throwback nostalgia type sound or like record. And I can't remember if it was Travis Barker or, oh my God, John Feldman, who's from Goldfinger, who produces a lot of pop punk stuff. And he did California by Blink-182. But so I listened to it, and I was like, cool, man, like this is great. Singing, whatever, you know, it's more kind of just like, but it like,
Yeah.
it worked
It's a
for
vibe,
it. I think it was a vibe for sure. And then the second one came out, and I was like, okay, you're like, what's going on, man? Like, what's happening? And then everyone was doing it, and he was one of the everyone that was doing it too. And then now he's like doing pop and like maybe some live band stuff too, but like very different sound now than the pop punk and different than some of the rap. So like, and then having just like been around music and having been doing some music, of course not on any level close to Colson Baker, Machine Gun Kelly, but just like living as an artist and like trying to find sounds and whatever, I started to think like more of just, dude, have fun. Like you're crazy, sure, but you're still, you know, a person. And like I feel like you know, trying to come to terms with where you're at musically and where you're at mentally and where you're at in the public eye and where you want to be at, and like all of the relationships that he's had over the years and the family and whatever. And it's like, I don't know. And so I'm starting to like feel more for that and like look at it through a different lens of like, dude, good, you're changing your sound, great. Like, of course, you know, you can't be stuck in the same thing for forever. Whereas, you know, different groups, maybe, sure, that's like your thing and you just do very similar stuff for a long time, and like, dude, you got a fan base that loves that, even if it's the same song with different lyrics. So trying to have more of that understanding for the artist that's putting that music out, and just being like, of course you're doing that, yes, do that, like, yeah, man, or whatever. It, like, I don't know, that's kind of how I've been thinking about it more recently, of just thinking about what's going into this music and all of the influences that you're being told, probably from like labels or business people or image consultants or any of that stuff, and then what you put it through your own filter, and then you come out with at the end of the day, and that's what we see, you know.
Yeah, and I used to be the kid who would like bash the band for like selling out, but I feel like different situations, but you know, I feel like there is like a healthy evolution with a lot of bands, and their catalogs have different eras, you know, so that's
Totally.
which is really dope, and it's nice.
Don't let a good thing keep you down. It's what makes the world go round and round. We all get fat and happy when it's upside down. I've been alone, been alone, been alone, been alone, been alone today. I've been alone, I've been alone, been alone, been alone, been alone today. I have been spending every day.
Do you find yourself as an artist, like, can you see that, or do you still feel like you're in stage one, or like that things are, I know you were talking a lot about the difference between what you were listening to earlier, but yourself as an artist creating, like, do you find eras of movement in your own music?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, and even the way that I'm releasing the stuff is kind of out of order too, because I have, you know, the first thing that I did in 2021, On and On is what the EP is called. Recorded it, and I told you guys, in the bedroom, one acoustic guitar. I did maybe one drum track in my house in New Hampshire when I went home for like Christmas or something, and then we still ended up using triggers and like basically not using any of the actual acoustics for that. And then this new record is more, you know, full band, a little bit of a different sound on some of the songs, maybe a little bit more grungy or like rocky or rockabilly kind of, and just kind of pushing that more. And then I have 8 tunes that I recorded in 2021 that were very much just like a punk, like pop, rock, punk, all kind of album, and that is maybe going to be coming out by the time this comes out, maybe in like the winter or something like that. But I've had those for a minute, and I was actually thinking about when I was writing those, I think when on my way to work yesterday maybe, and just being like, damn, I was just full pop punk mindset, or like, but also just like rock and roll, and sort of different than, because that's why I was like, this isn't really like Planet Mercury stuff. This is just like different, and like, I don't know. So I just took that and ran with it 4 years ago, and now it's coming out this winter. And then if I were to try to do that now, after all of the country stuff and all of the scoring and, you know, finger picking and folk and rock and playing in a bunch of different bands and hearing so many different sounds and playing with so many different sounds and people. Yeah, I mean, I haven't written a song in like, God, I don't know, a month, 2 months, a couple months. But I also have hundreds of voice memos of like a minute and a half, 2 minute guitar things where I'm like, great, that's done. That's done. Somebody will write it. Stupid. Nobody will write it. I have it. It's in my phone. Nobody's going to see it unless I do something with it. So, but yeah, I mean, and I talked to plenty of folks where that's, you know, par for the course. Those have so many voice memos and ideas that they're always recording and maybe coming back to, or maybe subconsciously coming back to it. Like I think I found something from like a year ago, and then I had just recently recorded a voice memo, and I was like, is that the same like riff or motif or something? And I was like, it is. So it just must be in there somewhere telling me, do something with this, because this is good. It's not like something you did when you were high at 2:30, or maybe it was. Right, it was really good. You know, I don't know. But yeah.
Well, how did it work in the sense of, you know, you're doing all this mixing and mastering yourself. Did you grow up that way? Was that?
Oh no,
like
I didn't
classes?
so that was not.
Oh, that wasn't you.
No, I didn't. No way. I mean, I can like mix it in like GarageBand. I don't even have Logic yet. That's the other thing too. Like,
So
I'm
you
just
are working with
putting
like
this
a-
off, dude.
yeah.
I'm like, I could get Logic, dude. It's like $200. I'll get it next month. And then I'm just like, I know how to use GarageBand, and I'm just doing acoustic drums and a couple. I can just do it all on that. It's fine. But yeah, so that's. I mean, I would do all that in my studio at home, like very demo, very simple. Really not many effects, maybe a couple, but like I don't really know what I'm doing seriously when it comes to mixing and mastering. Like it's a whole other instrument. It's a whole other art. It's like fascinating, and that was the first time that I really got to understand that was at that studio, because Lynn's would just set everything up and engineer everything, all the mics placement with the drums or the amps and like pedals and sounds and tones, and that was just to get me to record it. And then once that was done, then mixing that so that everything just sounds the way that we want it to, the way that it makes sense within whatever genre I'm trying to have it fit into, or like inspiration behind the albums, which were American Idiot and Dookie and Nimrod for sure. Love the production on that. But just acoustic as we could keep it, and analog in terms of like just instrumentation. And then yeah, he would mix the whole thing, and then mastering, I had it sent to Mike Dwyer of the Bunker Recordings in Cairo, New York. Lovely fella, beautiful dog, beautiful family. And but we've been, Planet Mercury has worked with him, the Bitter Joy works with him. He's a wonderful human and so good at his job. He's a great, I mean, we record up there too, but he also masters everything too. So I just sent him the track.
It wasn't long ago that I myself was very much like you. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, some time ago. Getting high on fairy dust, and it's gonna make us fly if we believe in something back from some time ago. Happy thoughts, I've only got one or two left. Let's see.
Love drums, baby.
Yeah, was
Love
that your
them.
first instrument?
Yeah.
Or- okay.
Yeah, dude, I would have, my parents would set me up on my kitchen floor with chopsticks and pots and pans when I was like 2. And so I would just hit them. And then I got a drum set when I was like 12 and just played to Green Day and Blink-182 and Sum 41 and all that kind of shit for like years. And then, yeah, jazz band in college. That was the first time I ever played jazz, and that is how you get good, folks. You play jazz, and you play with better musicians than yourself, no matter the genre, and you will get better. Recording the record in 2021 and like getting into the mindset of the sound of the instruments and the sound of the record and like hearing people playing on it. And sure, we quantized the drums and we like lined some of them and we lined them up like so that they're always on the beat. But that's something, especially now that I'm playing a lot more drums and like playing in bands, and I'm recording some of those tunes too. And like the AI is really just starting to scare me, because it's like, yeah, it's helpful. There's so many helpful applicants and useful like ways that you can do it for sure. And like building blocks and ideas and like streamlining stuff, definitely. There was this band, I don't know, like a month ago, if you guys saw this thing about Spotify, like there was an AI band that was like,
yes, I did see
and
that. Yeah.
so that was just like, oh my God, it's happening, you know? So that's, of course, that's like, hopefully we'll be able to keep that under control, but just like all of the technology and like the ways that they can mimic sounds and like just eliminating so much work and so much stuff that I love doing in the musical process. So maybe it's just something that's not for me, but I can still use it in other ways, definitely. Like the producer that has been working with the Garrett Elias project, Rob Bedson, phenomenal guy. Hero, wizard, tech, producer, viola, like all of it. And he was using this AI thing to isolate instruments in one live track. So like one mono recording, you can use it to pick out the guitar, the bass, the drums, the vocals, and then once you have them all separate, then you can like tinker those parts, which in the ideal when you're recording, you'll just already have those like lines and channels and everything set up so that you have those options available right then and there. So that's like such a great thing that I didn't even know that you could do. Or the Beatles tune that was like Now and Then that came out, I think 2 years ago, where they pulled John Lennon's home piano demo of that tune, and they isolated his voice and the keys from it or something like that so that they could actually finish the song and like make it work. That's fascinating. That's cool. It's a little creepy, but it's really cool that they were able to like have that moment with John again. But the moment that you start using that to like, I don't know, man, it's just like substitute instead of supplement kind of, then it gets, and then it's just changing the game. Like there's videos that I see of like a guy who drum reacts and like makes up drum parts to a song that he'll just make completely with AI with like a ridiculous prompt. Like make a country song that like says the word like butthole or something like 50, I don't know. And then he'll just like be watching what the lyrics are and like hearing the song and then making up drum parts. And that's cool. But it's like, it's just scary what it can do and like what I feel like I can see it doing to artists that are starting out, that they could benefit for sure from that, and they could also just go down a really scary rabbit hole of like music.
I really like that idea of it being and needing to maintain a form of it as something that supplements and doesn't substitute.
Yeah.
And I think that all in all kind of sums up the AI discussion and the debate.
Well, also that's where like it can never like substitute live music.
Yeah.
Like, that's always something that's really just so human driven at the end of the day, which is kind of a comforting thing.
Even the ideal show for me, which I just always come back to, like, if you have tracks or you have a click or you have electricity or you have AI parts of tunes that are part of your live show, it's the industry standard for sure. And so many arenas and like bands and groups and artists and everyone's using it, but for me, at the end of the day, power goes out, shit's going wrong, it's just people in a room. If you have acoustics and like a drum set and like a good band that can mix themselves live just the way that they play and like lock in, and you don't even need a mic, dude. That's amazing. That's you're gonna remember that show for the rest of your fucking life, right? That's what I love.
Heavy thoughts, I've only got one or two left. Let's see if it's enough to break me out. Hanging on by a thread, I think these lost boys ought to know that they ran out of fairy dust some time ago. I see it to believe it, can't escape this broken dreaming. Brush it off and chalk it up to I don't know.
So like, what kind of music do you play?
Oh man, I do a whole bunch of tunes, man. I do punk rock, pop punk with one of my bands from Boston, Planet Mercury. So I sing and play with those guys, and that's very like 2000s, late 90s kind of a sound. My solo stuff that I just put an EP out in May for, that's kind of leaning more towards the singer-songwriter genre, but with a little bit of maybe some grungy guitar on a tune or two, and maybe some country stuff. But I don't know. I mean, my sound is just always developing, I guess, which feels kind of lame to say because it's kind of just cliche because everyone's sound's always developing. But no, I mean, it is. It's like during the pandemic, I got into a whole bunch of, I like took a very deep dive into the Beatles and got a lot into like the finger picking stuff that McCartney had been doing a lot, and just getting a lot more into that. And then I had a big country phase too when I was working on this cowboy film a couple years ago called Corazon with John Cepeda, the lovely director and writer. He put a great film together, and then he had me playing the main character, who is a guy from New Hampshire who moves to Texas and loves country music and the way of the cowboy. And so for that, a lot of the source material that he had me listening to was like Roy Rogers and Marty Robbins and stuff from, like anywhere between the 40s and the 60s, I'd say. A lot of the early stuff though. So that was in my subconscious for most of 2021 and 2022. So a little country, a little rock, a little classic rock. My dad's been playing in the same 50s and 60s classic rock band, The Flames in New Hampshire. Shout out to the old man. since before I was born, and I've been growing up going to their live shows since I was like this big. So a lot of that's just been kind of in here.
That's awesome.
In here and in here.
Cruising on at 65, headlights illuminate your eyes as they bounce back from the concrete. I grip the wheel as if to say you make me feel some kind of way, underprepared for what's to come. I got a bone to pick with you, and I'll do what I can.
So, it's quite interesting because a lot of people talk to me about the film and music thing. You know, like you're an agent and then you produce, and what is it like? Is it the same industry? And I always say it's sort of like a happy marriage. Like they're not exactly the same, but they make a perfectly happy marriage doing both. How do you feel about working between both acting and music?
Oh man.
And yeah, well, you had also mentioned that you had a film role recently that kind of incorporated music.
Yes,
So,
that's a
like-
perfect one to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
So
Like, did that? Yeah. You
so that was Corazon, and we shot that in 2021. The summer of 2021, it took us about 2 months or so. And then somebody that was in the film had since gotten representation, and their representation told them not to sign their appearance release form. So we had to reshoot a lot, pretty much the whole movie. We were able to keep some of it, a majority of it, but there was still a couple scenes where it was like, we reshot it in 2023, so it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
And I had to get, like the same haircut that I had just had, like a mullet too. So I was like, all right, we'll see how this goes. Kind of get like a normal guy haircut. But yeah, so that project was a blast. I learned, it was like just so much to learn because the crew was me and the director. And for one day we had somebody else that was helping, and they were doing lighting and maybe sound, and that was pretty much it. We ADR'd the entire movie after we shot the entire thing. Every single line we did ADR for. I want you to know, that's every single line we re-recorded into a microphone to match everything that we did. So that was a whole thing that I was learning about with like, there's a chase scene in the movie, and I have to ADR me running and saying lines, or like me moving and saying things. So I'm like trying to recreate what I was doing and like do laps outside the studio and then run back in and be like, okay, let's go, but that's not even the music. So the movie has like, there's breaks in the film where I'm singing and playing guitar, not to the camera, but like to maybe the moon or whatever. So those were all public domain songs that we had the rights to. And so we recorded those in my bedroom in Somerville with 3 mics and 1 acoustic guitar, and we did everything live. So there was I was singing and playing the entire time, and John was the only one ever that was there, and it was just the 2 of us. So we did, I think maybe we recorded 5 or 6 tunes, and we ended up using 4 in the film for me to have those musical breaks for.
Is
So-
that part of how you build? Like when you write your own music, you're coming up with story, coming up with the melody, like the very basics of it. Do you look at it through that same lens?
Same lens.
Nice. Well, truthfully, when I write a lot of the stuff that I record and release with lyrics in it, lyrics are usually the last thing that I ever do. Like I'll sit down with an acoustic. Mostly it's everything that I do pretty much starts with an acoustic, and I'll start with either like a strumming pattern or a finger picking thing, and come up with something. And I try to get like most of the form of the tune down before maybe I'll hum something. And what is very much commonplace the last like 2 years of anything that I've demoed is I'll like pretty much have everything down, and then I'll just kind of hum something over it. And maybe I'll say a couple words, but it's just a lot of just gibberish and nonsense. And then once I have that all down with like a demo drum track and guitars and bass and all that, maybe if I get a chorus, then I'm like, okay, what story am I trying to tell now, But I've also had that kind of blow up in my face where it's like, oh, I love this, but I have no idea what I'm what this can be sung about, which is, I guess, cool, because it's fun to discover it however you will. But and then you'll just think about all your favorite songs and the lyrics to those or whatever, and it's like some of them mean absolutely nothing, and some of them mean absolutely everything. So it's just like, I don't know, it's all a crapshoot.
Well, have you ever thought about, like, would you ever venture into, given the way that you write music, having someone come in and write the lyrics for you, or is everything you want to sing has to be from you?
That's a new thing that I've been thinking about as well. The further that I get into the music industry and like see how it runs and see all the different avenues of what you can do, whether it's like if I have a chorus and like a tune and like a melody or something, or even just a song, like with publishing companies or like ghostwriting for artists or anything like that, then that's like a whole other avenue where it's like, okay, are you cool with giving up your thing and maybe not having you even play on it, let alone sing on it, for somebody else to then have and do what they will with? It's like 5 years ago, maybe even a year ago, maybe even yesterday, I'd be like, nah, dude, no way. But it's like, I don't know, there's so many different avenues of just music and collaborating with different folks.
And I'll do what I can to make it through. And the sooner I can tell you just exactly what's been eating me, I think you'll see that you belong with me now.
Who's that lead singer of like One Republic? I don't know if you know that guy. He's
know
written
his
like
name.
so many like #1 singles for like other artists.
Oh, dude,
But like
yeah.
he's still got his own band and
For
his
sure.
own things, kind of, which is cool. But like I know you talked about like you play with a lot of bands.
A lot of bands.
I don't know if you also songwrite with them and like or like more compositional by yourself, or you kind of collaborate.
Kind of. So, you want me to take you through the different bands?
Yeah,
Hell yeah,
why not?
We're here
Okay.
for it.
Great. So first, I guess we'll start with Planet Mercury. That is pop punk, Boston-based. Been with them since 2019. So I started out as a drummer with them, and then we had a little change up in the lineup, and I then moved to frontmanning, so singing, playing guitar, and we have this excellent drummer, Paul, now, and Michaela plays guitar, and Pat plays bass and rips. So with that, we have a bunch of tunes that were kind of written with the whole band, or maybe one or two of them put their heads together and like wrote the bones, and then we'll develop them at like a rehearsal or whatever. And that's kind of the way that it was for a while. And then I moved to New York, and so then since we've been like forced apart by distance, a lot of the tunes will then be, I'll write this one and bring it to you guys and like demo it, and then bring it and be like, here's something. And then Michaela will have one, and she'll be like, here's something, and we'll work on finding our parts for it, keeping maybe relatively true to the demo, but then also at rehearsals being like, let's open this up and like let's change this around. So that, I love that with bands, that it's like a group, community, democracy kind of an effort. It changes, from band to band for sure, depending on everything that's going on. But I don't know, when I was growing up, my favorite band of all time still is, to this day, Green Day. And they're one of their huge things is that they've been best friends since they were like 15. Mike and Billy have been best friends since they were like 8 or 9, So it's like seeing that, and like really now that you can on Spotify go to the credits, song credits, and like look at the writing credits, and from jump it's been just those 3 guys, music and lyrics by Billy Joe Armstrong and music by Green Day, like the entire time. And like that has always been rock and roll, and it's like, with a band, and especially one of that magnitude that I've always admired, I've always wanted to do something like that. So with Planet Mercury, for example, like that's where I try to do that the most. Like, yeah, I'll bring an idea, and as hard and as like self-centered as you can be at the end of the day of like, yeah, dude, this song is gold. You can't make that call for everybody, because everybody is supposed to have a voice. So like, maybe you made the decisions for some parts, but it's like, dude, let everybody feel it out. Let it go through that filter of the band, and then what comes out of it is going to be us, So that's that. And then solo stuff, it's the exact opposite. It's
Right.
like,
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, do you feel like you have that filter with the solo stuff, and that's like a
I
different
have that
type of
filter
process?
now since I've played my first show with a live band, which was a beautiful time, man. It was like, because I moved here in 2021 in December, so like right at the beginning of 2022, and I'd had an EP that I put out right around that time I recorded it in my bedroom in Somerville as well, and had Carter mix and master that, but that was like really minimal instrumentation, a lot of triggers and tracks, and really folk kind of singer-songwriter oriented. And the one that I just did in May, or just put out in May, is, you know, more band behind it. I recorded it in, you know, full studio with big drums and killer bass player, Daniel. And yeah, so like that was cool, kind of forming it there at the studio, but also kind of keeping it pretty true to the demos. But you know, 3 years later, after having written the songs or having moved to the city, putting a band behind it for the first time, like I got my buddy Matt to play guitar, who I've wanted to do music with since I moved here, and it hasn't happened, it hasn't worked out, because I've always had this band, that band, film, whatever, restaurant, like it's just my stuff, I'll figure it out, you know, but I got this other stuff. And now I'm like, dude, let's get my stuff out there. Let's play a show. So I got this band together. I had Matt on guitar, I had my buddy Rocco playing bass, and then I had this guy, Brian Pinky of the Hips, playing drums. And Rocco is in this great band called Believe in Ghost. And Matt, I used to play in college with, and he's a phenomenal guitar player and a great singer too. We used to do a cappella together. And so the first rehearsal that we had, I think like 2 days before the show, that was the first time I had all the components of a band playing those songs for the first time, and it was like heaven, man. It was so cool. It's like such a fun feeling where it's just exactly, I don't know, it's just gorgeous. And it's different a little bit for sure. Like it's not gonna be exactly to the record, which I love, because I don't know, man, like live, I just think that's, because I'm such an old man brain. It's just like I'll see, and I know it's industry standard for like playing with tracks and stuff like that, and like click, and I mean click, whatever, sure. But just the rock and roll of it, of like 2 guitars, bass, drums, you're in it, you have that unpredictability with the crowd and yourselves, but you can, unless, you know, all hell breaks loose, you can pretty much just get away with whatever and have a great time. And maybe you're adding some parts to some songs, or like having hits on different parts, or like coming in, extending solos, whatever. But just having the ability to do that and having these guys rip with you was great. So that was, yeah, a little bit of that filter where Matt was playing maybe a little bit more. I mean, he hit all the hits in the tunes, all the parts that were in the record, and then some. And he was adding some great, like, he's a big Grateful Dead, John Mayer, like, Southern rock fan, so he was just ripping on some of them, and it was gorgeous, man. And it, like, all the guys, I mean, they added their own kind of a thing to it, which is always fun to hear, you know? And when it happens, it's just like, ooh, you know?
I'll fight the loneliness, this hunger for my friend. I'll fold you up and put you in my pocket, take you with me. We'll walk around the block a couple times, then 3, then 4. I'll show you everything's a little different than it was before. My bandana. Crisis personalities are changing, staging major interventions, asking questions. Is it in my head? Am I almost dead? Weight cut me loose, I'll drift ashore.